Welcome to the Black Belt Business Podcast. My name is Matthew Brenner, and today we have guest Seth Bittner. And today you're going to find out what it was like going through a water fast and not eating any food for 3 days, was it?
4 days. Yeah.
4 days, that's insane. And what it's like running a martial arts school with your wife. And you're going to find out the differences between running one school and three schools and all the challenges that come with that. So if you're thinking about scaling, this is going to be a great episode for you. So Seth, thanks for coming on today.
No, my pleasure. I'm excited to be here. Thanks.
So before we dive into martial arts stuff, I want to hear about this water fast. Like why, like what were you motivated by to decide, all right, I'm not going to eat for 4 days?
Yeah. Not many people have that desire to go 4 days without having anything, and it's no food, nothing, just water. But for me, there's a couple different reasons. My main focus for using it is honestly just as a test of my self-discipline and my control. I love food, and as much as I try to eat healthy, sometimes my habits start leaning more towards unhealthy things. Sometimes I can't resist a Taco Bell.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Wait, Taco Bell over Chipotle? Is there something special because Taco Bell you had as a
Taco Bell's
kid or
closer.
something? Oh, it's just closer.
It's closer. It's faster.
Okay.
Like.
Do you think Chipotle is better?
Oh, 100%.
Okay, got it. It's just like convenience.
Yeah. Chipotle's better for you, I think. So
yeah.
It's good, but yeah, definitely convenience. So for me, I like to test myself when I feel like I'm being lack of discipline. And I've fasted before. I've done like 1 days, 2 day stuff before, and a couple of years ago, I read a book. I actually heard about it on Tim Ferriss' podcast, Siddhartha, believe it's called, and talked about fasting.
Siddhartha,
correct? And they talked about fasting, and just in a storytelling type sense. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna challenge myself with this, and I did. It was 4 years ago. I did my first 4-day water fast.
Oh, so you've done this before?
Yeah. I've done it once before, and it's been about 4 years since I've done it. Now, anybody who's ever interested in doing what they call prolonged fasting, you shouldn't do it more than once a year. Once a year is what they suggest. So I was like, well, I'm up for trying it again, and I figured it was the right time.
What made you feel like it was the right time? Like, was there something happen? Like, were you, I don't know, like gaining weight or like something happened in your life that was like, oh crap, I need to like a reset or something?
No, it was, for me, it was 100%. I noticed that the scale was creeping up and up, and it's easy to ignore a pound here and there, but then when that pound leads to 4 pounds, 5 pounds, and that's like, all right, in the last couple of years, I've probably dropped, I was about 30 pounds after my first water fast. I've dropped down, and I saw that number creeping up. I was like, all right, I got to get in check again. So I decided right after Thanksgiving, before the holidays, was probably a good time. So that way I can go into the holidays having a little bit more confidence in my ability to make better food decisions.
And be like super gluttonous because it's the holidays.
Yeah, well, I'm just kidding. That's hopefully not, because again, I got to wait another year before I can challenge myself. But for me, I think it's funny in a way, because most people, same reaction, like, what are you, crazy, doing a 4-day water fast and not eating or doing anything for 4 days? And for me, it is a challenge, but I guess because I've done it before, I think other things are a lot more crazy than just not eating for 4 days. The first 2 days are the hardest. You go through those hunger, pains, and you want to eat everything. But anybody who's ever done it before, they'll tell you days 3, 4, it's like I'm sitting here right now. Like maybe I might have a little gurgle in the stomach, but otherwise I'm already like 3 days in. I know I'm good. I know I'll be good.
How's your energy during that time?
It's weak, so I make sure I kind of set myself up for success by cutting out the workouts, and I live a regular lifestyle otherwise, but I'm not like going and running or lifting weights or anything else. I pretty much just cut that out, so that way I'm not wasting too much energy.
How do you handle that with, like, do you work those 4 days, or do you like light work, or?
Yeah, no, my normal work. And in fact, I wanted to do a little bit of workout day 3. I was like, you know what? I feel like I could probably hop on the bike and go for like a 30-minute ride or something. Just I was like telling my wife, I was like, just be low key, just like a little cruise, and she put the kibosh on that for sure. She's like,
Why?
well, she's obviously worried about my health and my fitness and making sure like I don't go overboard,
Uh-huh.
because sometimes I can be a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
She
You like
wasn't
the
a
extremes.
yeah. So she wanted to make sure that I wasn't just completely deplenishing all my energy and just having
Crashing.
issues.
Yeah.
But I like to feel like self-experimentation is important because the way that you burn fat and the way that certain things that how foods react to you are going to be different for me, and really, for us as people, we should experiment and be open to
Yeah.
going from being a regular meat eater. I went keto. I did keto for a while, but I did that with measuring like what my cholesterol levels and all that, and I saw my cholesterol levels spike through the roof.
Mm.
So I was like, well, keto doesn't work for me. So
Mm.
then I went vegetarian and eventually more plant-based and was able to get off cholesterol meds and stuff like that,
Amazing.
which super cool. But I wouldn't have figured that out if I didn't kind of do some exploring and
Test stuff out.
yeah, 100%. So, yeah.
I've been doing fasting for probably 3 or 4 years now. Like not the way you did it, not prolonged, but I've been doing intermittent fasting.
Yep.
And it was the same thing. I read a book. I think his name is Robert Chung. I could be wrong. Once again, Google that. I don't have Jamie here to like fact check me or
Right.
help me.
That would be cool.
I do need a Jamie. Yeah. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna try it. And like I'm gonna eat between the hours of like 12 and 8 a.m. and like that's it. And it was freaking hard for the first, I don't know, 4 weeks maybe. And it was extremely difficult. Like I would but it wasn't like I was physically hungry. It was I'm mentally hungry. I just like want to eat. Because in the morning, like I grew up eating Cheerios for breakfast, Thomas bagels,
Carbs,
yeah,
sugars.
just like whatever, freaking Pop-Tarts. Like, I mean, I didn't do that really as an adult, but that's what I grew up eating. And as an adult, I'd be like, oh, I'd start my day with like fruit. So I'd eat like, pineapples or blueberries, which is great. But I was like, I want to try this out. And like I don't think, I think some people hype it up. It's like it's gonna change your whole life. I don't really believe that. At least not for me, it didn't. Eventually, my body got used to it, and now I don't get hungry in the morning. Like I don't think about it. There's no like, oh man, like I'm skipping breakfast today. It's just like my body is not hungry.
Yeah.
And then I've gone to the next level where now I'm more experimenting with like one meal a day. So the OMAD diet. So I'll eat around like 3 or 4 o'clock. I'll have like a big meal, kind of eat whatever I want. Now it's only one meal, so I try to make sure there's veggies in it.
Right.
So that's like the hard part, because I don't want to have one meal a day and not have veggies, right? But like, so I also have my athletic greens. So shout out to athletic greens. This is pretty good if you never had it. It's like kind of sweet. I'm not sponsored by them, but if you want to sponsor me after watching this, great.
You should. You seem like the kind of person that should be sponsored.
I should be sponsored by athletic greens. Yeah.
Charismatic,
Yeah, I appreciate that. So since I started the fasting, like it just made things simpler for me. My day simpler. I don't have to worry about breakfast. So it's like another meal I don't have to worry about. I don't have to worry about getting groggy from food. And since I've gone to one meal a day, which I don't do perfectly, I mess it up sometimes, and it sucks because like sometimes like you maybe have lunch and then your friends go out and like they want to have dinner, right? Or like, oh, we're gonna have some drinks and like happy hour, and you like can't really do that, I'll have like water or like diet soda or something, which like I don't really want that, right? So I don't do it every day, but when I do it, for me, what I like about it is it simplified my day even more.
Right.
It's okay, this is the time I eat, and I don't have to worry about cooking and cleaning dinner, right, or going out and get food. So it's cheaper. So that was kind of cool. But also for me, it gave my body time to digest before going to sleep, because especially as a martial arts lifestyle, professionally, we work in the afternoon. So by the time we get home and eat dinner, sometimes it could be 8:30, 9:30 at night. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
And then what happens is you eat, and then your stomach's all going nuts, and then you go to sleep like pretty soon, within an hour or two. You go to sleep at 10 or 11, maybe a little bit later, but you don't really give your body to digest. So for me, being able to eat at like 4 or 3 and giving my body time to just digest all that, I don't have like that weird feelings in my stomach, and I sleep better. I feel better when I wake up. And to me, that's been the biggest benefit that I didn't necessarily expect. Obviously, there's weight management. It makes it a lot easier because I can be gluttonous in that meal and not worry about a thing, right? If I want to eat like, I I don't know, fried chicken or like tacos or a giant burrito that has like all, sour cream and,
Yep.
beans and cheese or whatever. I don't really like sour cream though, but it's a gluttonous food, I
Sure.
think, in my head. So that's why I say that. Then I can. So that part I really like. So when you finish your fast, the 4 days, how much weight did you lose?
This time I lost about 12 pounds.
12 pounds.
Yeah,
Damn.
12 pounds. Now, again, so during that time, I was also drinking every day a minimum of a gallon of water.
Do you carry like a big jug, or you have like certain
Yeah,
amount of so how many of those?
my hydro flask.
Uh,
Three of these,
Three of those.
minimal. I tried to get four if possible, and I just made it like a routine.
Do
So
you just like pee your brains out all day?
yeah, for to start. So it's kind of like what you were saying with the fasting. It's like anything. You get used to it. Like the first couple days, it's tough. When you first start doing intermittent fasting, I did the same thing. I did like the 16/8 intermittent
Yeah.
fasting. Then I did the 24-hour intermittent fasting. And after you get used to it, or the first couple of days, once you get through that initial shock to your system, you're like, yeah, this isn't that bad. Same thing. I don't know if you've ever done like cold water therapy, like anything. I
I've
used to
only
do
done it once
cold
for like 10
showers.
seconds and I hated it.
Yeah, yeah. So
I was like, this is like, you need to do this to be successful. I'm like, so I don't want to be successful.
yeah, so it's another thing I experimented with doing that. But like with the shower, give it a week. I always tell people if you're going to try it, you gotta suck it up and get through that first initial time. Yeah, it might last 3 seconds, but day 2 will be 5, and eventually you'll crave that cold water. It's same thing with the intermittent fasting or other fasting. Like eventually you're like, yeah, like it's that confidence in yourself to be like, I got this. I can do that, which is awesome.
I think what's important is like you're actually experimenting and trying it. Some people are like, oh, never do that. It's like, dude, just try it. It sucks, and like don't give yourself a real shot, right? Cold shower thing. I was like, I try a lot of things. This is not for me. I'm not doing it. But there's plenty of things you can try in life, and if you don't like it, you don't like it. I don't have to do intermittent fasting later in life. If my friends are going out to brunch, like I'm not really a brunch. I like brunch, but like if I'm like really disciplined in what I'm doing, then I won't eat it. But like if I'm on vacation, then I'm gonna eat brunch, like because it's fun and interesting. You don't have to be, black or white, like 0 or 100. You can be in a gray area. That's where most people live, right?
Yeah, my grandmother always taught me, everything in moderation. You've heard, that's a famous saying. And somebody else always said, especially when I started eating, plant-based, they're like the 90/10. Like if you can just spend 90% of your time just really focused on eating healthy and just being healthy, like that other 10% isn't going to necessarily throw you off course like crazy. You got to make sure that 10% doesn't lead to 25, 50%, but don't expect yourself to be perfect. And I think that's important for everything, like in business and in relationships. Like if you hold yourself to such crazy high standards that you're never going to be able to reach or hold yourself up to, then you're only setting yourself up for failure and not wanting to try it later on.
Become discouraged and then forget
100%.
everything. Right.
Yeah. And then the other part is be smart about everything. So like when I was doing the water fasting, I was testing my blood sugar. I was making sure before I did it the first time, I checked with a doctor to make sure I was okay to do it. I was checking my blood pressure. I was doing whatever I could to make sure I was as safe as possible, and just being smart about it.
Did you have like that bone marrow or anything like that? Or
no. Again, with vegan, I wouldn't be able to have that anyway. But the only thing that I would have done is if you start getting a little jittery or anything else like that, a pinch of salt, usually like some
salt.
Pink Himalayan salt or something like that.
Yeah,
it's good for your electrolytes.
Did you do that or no?
I didn't have to this time around. The first time I did it, I had some, and it's crazy. It's like you have some, and you're like, oh yeah, I feel like you feel the life come back in you. And
were you irritable at all? Like, did your wife, let's say, like, don't talk to me right now? She runs in the other room.
I think that's the other reason why she's all right with me doing it. She realized that I don't get hangry.
Wait, in general?
In general, yeah, no.
Wow, you're an amazing person. I'm like,
well, I like to think so, but I'm glad other people tell me.
I get irritable. Like, I'll be like quick and be like, leave me alone. I gotta go eat. Then I eat. Like, oh, I feel so much better.
Yeah,
I'm like a Snickers commercial.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tend to get a little bit more quiet and to myself, but I don't for the most part, I don't snap or do anything else. And for the 4 days, she spent more time than I did worried about, if I was in the kitchen. Like I spent the 3rd day, 4th day, cooking for my wife and for my baby. Like we were just, making food. It didn't bother. She's like, how could you do that? I was like,
damn, that's impressive too.
Said, in my mind, I had 4 days. And then even the 4th day, I was
like being at a strip club and keep your eyes closed the whole time. Crazy
Yeah,
discipline.
right. But even the fourth day, I was like, maybe I should go to another day. And she's like, well, if you want to. I was like, and then I was like, you know what? I don't. It would only be for selfish reasons. There's like I've already reached the goal that I set. Like there's no reason to go another day. So I went another hour just to make myself feel better. So
Cool.
97 hours
What
total.
did you eat after?
So whenever anybody who does a fasting, especially prolonged fasting, you got to be careful with what you eat right afterwards
Right.
because your body just you'll spend some time on the toilet with some gastrointestinal discomfort. Yeah. So my first thing that I had, and again, other reason people think I'm crazy, but there's a reason. It was a shot of apple cider vinegar with mother, with a shot of lemon.
With mother? What's that mean?
So that's the yeast inside. So like if
Okay.
you ever see it, it's strained. Like if the apple cider vinegar is like the clear, more clear, that's filtered. But if you get like the brogs or whatever, it has like that sediment on the bottom.
That's
That's
with mother.
the mother. That's like the yeast. So that's the good stuff. That's the probiotics and things that you want for a healthy gut biome. So I did that with a shot of lemon juice and with some warm water. Kind of made a tea out of it.
Okay.
And I drank that and let it kind of sit for like 15 minutes or so.
There was no tequila in there.
There was no tequila, yeah,
waste
and that's
of time.
and so that was another reason why I did the fast because I like to have I called it my whiskey Wednesdays. I'd have I love old fashions, super fan of old fashions.
Okay.
So I'd have them like on Wednesdays, and then if I had a couple things like a drink or two over the weekend, but then it was like I'd go out with family and I'd have a drink, and again nothing crazy, like I wasn't even getting buzzed, but I have a drink on Friday, drink on Saturday, some wine on Sunday. And I was like, well, I'm not spending 4 days having alcohol. Like my liver could probably, use a little bit of a break. It's not like crazy unhealthy to do that, but I was like,
but you weren't comfortable with it.
I want my body to be burning fat, not alcohol.
Yeah.
So, so I was like, all right, I'm going to cut the whiskey Wednesdays and do all that. But yeah, so I had
Wait, so you're not doing whiskey Wednesdays anymore?
Not right now.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's gone forever, but for now I'm just trying to have some restraint. I have some fitness goals that I want to reach before I start kind of introducing. I want to. I'm luckily enough to be at like my lowest weight I've been in like probably 8 years.
Oh wow!
But I still want to drop like another 15, 20 pounds.
Okay.
And so that's my goal. Like, all right, if I do that, then I'll reintroduce some whiskey Wednesdays and
tequila Tuesdays, maybe.
I'm not a fan of tequila.
Oh,
my father-in-law loves tequila. I'm not a big fan. I've had some pretty bad experiences in Vegas. I ended up doing pull-ups on a stop sign or a stoplight in Vegas right outside the Cosmo.
Was that a martial arts convention we were at?
No.
That was on your own.
I have to be on my best behavior
for those. You gotta be,
yeah, it was. I actually just met my wife. We were dating at the time.
Oh, so you're flexing on her.
Yeah.
Like, check this out.
No, it wasn't flexing because I made the bad mistake of remarking about a waitress in front of her.
Oh, that's a good move.
Not for myself. It was for my
yourself.
brother-in-law.
Yeah.
But I was pretty much a jerk, and I handled it by drinking margaritas and tequila shots. And
yeah.
I was told I was doing the pull-ups on the stoplight. I don't remember.
Got it. I just want to get some exercise. I'm trying to be healthy.
Yeah, apparently subconsciously I'm on the right track.
Got it. So now I know what to do before I work out. Just go to Vegas.
Let me know how that works out for you.
So let's talk about your school. So you have one school and eventually you moved to 3. But before I even talk about that, a lot of martial arts school owners are in a similar situation that you're in, where they run it with their husband or wife or whoever, and you run it with your wife.
Correct.
So how do you manage that together? Because I was with someone for a long time when I run my martial arts schools, and like I didn't want her involved, and because I knew that I would like get upset or angry, get in giant fights, and I avoided it like crazy. So how do you manage it?
Well, yeah, honestly, it was, for me, it was a tough decision at first. And that's just because I came into it with some challenges in the beginning. So when I opened up my first martial arts school, I opened it up with my then wife. We had just started dating, and she was the one that actually got me interested in karate. I had just graduated college. I had the best job. Like, if you look at my diploma, I literally have a bachelor's of science in recreation. No lie, recreation, it says on there.
Damn.
And
I got my master's in leisure in
yeah,
Netflix.
but mine's a legit recreation.
That's
Yeah,
so funny.
that's what everybody says. That like, oh, I got mine on the couch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope, but it's specialized in therapeutic recreation, which is like occupational therapy, physical therapy, but using recreational activities to help. And I specialized with traumatic brain injury, so that was the field that I worked in. And I got my first job out of college. I was working there, and I met this nurse manager who was working there. She had just gotten her black belt, and then she invited me to my first karate class. First karate class, at the end of it, they had this 6-foot tall weeble wobble. We call it Boris, and I did a flying sidekick in its head. And that day I was hooked. Like, karate's the rest of my life. I never thought about it before. Like, it just took somebody asking me to go. And long story shorter, we started dating. 3 months after we dated, we got engaged. 3 months after that, we were married. So within the first 6 months, we were married, and we decided we're going to open up a karate school. Like, I was an orange belt when we decided to open up the first school. And we did great.
Wait, you opened up a school as an orange belt?
I made the decision as an orange belt.
Okay.
So I spent pretty much every moment that I could at the school. I was double promoting through the belts because I was doing private lessons. I was doing classes minimum of 5 days a week because I was there because I started helping out and teaching then as well.
So you're like an accelerated program.
Super accelerated, yeah. So I got through, by the time we opened up the school, I was a brown belt. And then I got my black belt while I was teaching there at the school.
What's crazy is most people wouldn't even let someone teach a class unless they were a black belt.
100%.
And you're like opening up a school as a brown belt.
Yeah.
Did you have like a feeling that, what's it called when you feel like you're not good enough? No. What's the word? You literally said to me earlier. Everyone listening to this is like, oh my God. This guy's
yeah, they're all like, how can you not know it?
Yeah, the word for like imposter syndrome.
Thank you. Yeah.
So did you feel imposter syndrome?
100%. Yeah, because I'd be also like going to these seminars. Like, I remember going one time to a seminar with Frank Trejo, with another one, a friend of mine who I met through one of my, obviously when you started school, I had a part-time job, another full-time job, I should say. And this guy, he was like a 4th degree black belt in Kempo, and he's like one of those like lightning fast Kempo martial artists. Mm-hmm. Amazing. So he invited me to go to this seminar with Frank Trejo, who was like, again, the top Kempo martial artist at the time. And I felt like a complete imposter. Now, mind you, I had decent skills for my level, but I definitely wasn't anywhere near what these other people were. And it was just my own ego getting in the way, like thinking like I'm not good enough to be here, but it was an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, I think whenever we have someone open up a school or open up a new location, you always have that feeling of like, I'm not good enough. Everyone else has more experience. They're better. And I remember when I opened up my school, I was probably like 21 at the time and maybe 22, but I was young and I kept on thinking, like, I'm talking to a parent about their child.
Yep.
And I don't have kids, and they're older than me, usually in their late 20s or 30s or 40s. And I'm talking to them about their child, how they could be a better parent, and I'm not a parent, and I could be their child. And It was very like I remember just so many times just sitting in my bed or talking to one of people we work with, and just being like, yeah, I don't think they're ever going to listen to me. I think people just see me as a joke. And they're like, if you see yourself as a joke or an imposter, other people are going to see it that way. Yeah. But if you talk with confidence and assurance, then people will see you as a leader. And even this week, I had a conversation with one of my program directors who runs a location. And I was telling her, like, if you want to be a leader and take leadership, you have to speak like a leader. And the way you speak like a leader is being sure in what you're saying and believing it. So she was saying that she had a child come in, and there was the boyfriend and the mom, right? So the mom, her husband had passed away a couple years earlier or something. Now it's the boyfriend. And the boyfriend's like, I don't want him to do karate, the son. And mind you, it's not his son, but, sort of.
Yep.
And I don't want him to do karate because he's been bad at school, and I don't want to reward him for that behavior. So my program director called me, and that's they had that conversation at the first lesson, and we try to enroll them at the second one, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes we can the first, and if not, we go for the second. So she's like, how can I handle this before they come in to avoid those objections? And I'm like, well, tell me what you said. And she said, like, oh, I told him that, like, like maybe that's the reason why, like, he needs this is because he needs discipline for school, and that's why he should do martial arts, which we know, like, any martial artist listening to this, that's obvious, like, we know that, but they don't see it that way.
When you use the
Right.
word maybe, it's
Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly what I was gonna say. So I said to her, I'm like, okay, don't use the word maybe. You got to speak like a leader, speak like a doctor, like you're prescribing medication. Okay. Oh, it's not, oh, maybe you need to take your, I don't know, Zoloft or I don't know, whatever medication you need. It's like, no, you need this to get better. Okay. So we role played the conversation and we said, okay, when he comes in, you're gonna bring that up first. Don't wait for him to bring that up because you know he's gonna bring it up because now we're gonna try to enroll them in lesson two. So before you even start the lesson, I want you to bring it up and say, hey, last time you were here, you mentioned that you didn't want him to do karate because you didn't want to reward him for bad behavior at school. Do you still feel that way? I'm like, let him talk. Like, and he's got to say probably yeah, right? So you got to bring it up first. Don't let them bring it up. If
right.
they bring it up and you respond, it sounds defensive. If you bring it up first, you sound insightful,
Right.
like you're listening. So she brought it up to him, and I said, when you bring it up, you got to say, you know what, I totally understand why you feel that way. In fact, I agree with you. No matter how psycho someone or like illogical someone sounds, always agree first. Okay, that way they bring their guard down and they don't have their defenses up, and they can actually absorb the information you're saying without like deflecting it.
Right.
Right. So I don't know, for them, like this guy, he might be thinking, oh, I don't want to pay for this. It's not my son. I don't know if he does think that, but it could be, right? So it's
Sure.
another thing we have to think about. So first thing I told her, agree with him, and I would say, okay, you know what? Let's say his name is Jake. Jake, I 100% agree with you. I'm on the same page. I don't think Johnny should get to do anything that he doesn't like earn, and I don't think he should be rewarded for bad behavior. And that is exactly why he needs this. Because if you put him in karate, he's going to be able to build discipline so he can be better in school. And if we say, oh, I'm not going to put him in karate because I don't want him to be rewarded, that's like saying, I don't want you to go to the dentist because you have a cavity. And it's your fault you have a cavity. And you have to give them a analogy that's going to be relatable. Martial arts and karate for us is very relatable. It's like we get it. Like we do this every day. We hear the same objections and reasons why people come in, whether it's for focus, discipline, confidence, or respect, or self-defense or fitness. But for other people, like they have no idea what they're walking into. Right? They walk into a martial arts school. They maybe have an uncle that did it. Maybe they did it for a little bit as a kid, but they're intimidated and have no idea what to expect.
Right.
We have to be the leaders and be like, hey, if you do this, if you train in karate and you come twice a week, you're going to see his discipline improve. You're going to see his grades improve. You're going to see him doing his homework without you reminding him. You're going to see all these things that you want, but you need to have him stick with it. And this is exactly what he needs for that. And you need to have that insurance. If you say maybe or I think, they're going to have some doubt that seeps in. And then when they don't sign up, they're going to say, oh, yeah, let me think about it. Or, oh, I'm not sure if we can afford it. And they're like, oh, people can't afford it in my neighborhood, right? Mm-hmm. Or all these other things that might come up. So going back, how we got off into that tangent.
Well, kind of bring it full circle again, you asked as far as the imposter syndrome was starting. Yeah. So I think for me, the fact that I was able to come from this, again, my profession before this, even though it was short-lived, was because I started again at 22 as well, was recreational therapy. I used recreational activities to help people through life challenges and whatever it might be. What's the martial arts, right? The martial arts is exactly that. So when I made the decision with my wife at the time to open up a school is because we knew that the martial arts had that ability to make a dramatic difference, right? It's not, and again, everybody, martial artists hear this all the time. It's not punching and kicking only. Mm-hmm. There's so much more, but we know that as martial artists, but the community doesn't. And I felt that it was important for us to be able to go out and share that with the community and to look at it from that standpoint. Like, yes, your child is having some issues with their discipline or with their focus at school, and you can get them involved with lots of different things that will eventually give them better focus and better discipline. But the way that we teach is hyper focused on that, right? I always say not everybody who starts the martial arts will be lifelong martial artists.
Right.
However, everybody who starts with us is going to walk away with life lessons that they're going to use forever, guaranteed, right? And with that mentality, that's what helped lead to the success of our first school. Unfortunately, through challenges, I ended up going through a divorce, and
Can I ask questions about that?
I'll answer whatever.
Yeah. So obviously there's many reasons why people get divorced. Do you feel like working a business together had a big part to that, or was it a big factor in that?
So my fears are that it did, and because of that, led to some challenges with me being more open to opening up my other schools with my wife now. So it's almost like some PTSD with going into because my wife now, she was a high school science teacher. She teaches / taught college level for different classes, science as well. And we had our separate lives, and it was great. We each had our own thing, but she was unhappy with her career. I would have loved to spend more time with her because, as we being a business owner can involve a lot of our time. So I just had to get out of my own way and realize that whatever the challenges were, and it wasn't my first marriage didn't end because of karate.
Yeah.
Was it a factor? Who knows? You have to spend 24 hours a day with somebody. You need to have great communication skills. And at that point in my life, my communication skills weren't nearly as good as they are now.
In what way?
Well, I've learned through that divorce that I was a poor communicator. I wasn't sharing. I'm good at sharing good things, happy things, but when it comes to sharing challenges or frustrations or anything else like that, I tend to keep it in. And still, it's like my first gut reaction, but I try to be more open about that. And it's not easy, especially when you have different thoughts about how something should be done. You can butt heads, and it's to be able to go through that together. You have to be able to communicate that well, and that's.
So for how many years of was it between your first wife and the second one?
So I was married for 10 years, and we got divorced, and then about I want to say 2-3 years between the first and second. I think 2 years. I've been kicked in the head too many times. Football concussions. My timelines aren't so good.
No one's testing your timeline, so it's fine.
Yeah.
So when you got married the second time, and she decided she didn't love her job anymore, maybe as much as she did before, like I'm sure there was a big part of you that was like, and you said like you had some
hesitant.
Yeah, some hesitations. Like, were you just thinking, "Oh my God, I'm going to repeat the same process over and over
again"?
Yeah,
I was afraid. I didn't want to cause more challenges that I possibly could have caused in the first marriage. Now, side note to that, like I have an amazing relationship with my ex-wife right now. We love each other on like friendship ways. We co-parent. We do an amazing job. She's an amazing job being a mom to our son. I know I'm an amazing father. We communicate super well now, better than we did before. We both were able to learn from that. So I knew I'm a different person now, which led to that. Like, all right, I'm more open to talking about the challenges and working through those. And the other thing is like, my wife is a genius. She's just amazing, brilliant mind. And she was working at the school part-time while she was teaching just to kind of help out. And I just saw how she just fit right into the lifestyle. And not everybody's meant to be, a martial arts school owner. It takes a different kind of person to open up, be an entrepreneur, be your own, run your own business, spend that much time, working every 24 hours of the day, at least mentally,
So how do you separate your time from when you're talking about the business versus like, oh, it's, husband and wife time?
It's tough,
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just a matter of,
So do you make a
shutting it off.
concerted effort for that, or is it just like you guys naturally talk anyway? It's part of your conversation.
I think for
It's not
us,
a big deal.
I think it's for us. It's part of our natural world. It's like why shut it out when it's such a big part of our world, right? And it's not a part of our world because of just the business aspect. It's a part of our world because we're really trying to help, our partners in the other schools, our employees at the other schools. Our goal is to help them improve their lives. So we're constantly thinking about it. So it'll be like 9 o'clock at night, and I'll be like, hey, what about if we do this? Or, I think that we're failing on this level, or we're really, dropping the ball here. We're communicating with our staff 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, nightly feedback. How was classes? What did you do? Because, we're at the position now where I'm no longer at the school every day. I'm at the school visiting here and there, but we have employees that run the schools. So we communicate with them every day, and it's constantly, talking back and forth with them. But, we're constantly working on improving ourselves, listening to podcasts, doing different things. So, we're always talking. The way that we've tried to kind of detach is through, taking some time through family vacations. Even then you're still working, but it's working less, and just kind of letting our brains kind of take a little bit of a break. Holidays, we have the holiday coming up. I'm excited to just kind of, telling my staff and telling our partners, go enjoy time with your family. We don't want to hear from you unless it's an emergency. And, for us, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to spend time focusing on our family and enjoying that time and, doing what we can.
So what advice would you give someone who is thinking about getting involved with their husband or boyfriend or girlfriend or whoever in their business?
It's like number one, excuse me, you got to make sure that you have good communication skills. Right?
What does that mean?
So you have to be open to talking about the bad things as well as the good things, right? You have to be able to tell your spouse that, hey, here's where I think that you could improve on. It can't be them saying, you suck. I can't believe you're such an asshole.
Yeah, don't be hypercritical.
Listen, sometimes, I have to be told I'm an asshole.
Yeah,
right? Because
I told you that when I saw you today. That was the first thing.
Yeah. And I'm like, that's how I should be greeted.
Yeah.
But but I do need to be told that. The other part is I need to be open to hearing that as well, and that can be my challenge sometimes. Is I always say I have to take 24 hours to absorb and to digest things that might be out of my norm, or things that might be against what I'm thinking the way it should be. I need to kind of process through it on my own after hearing it from somebody else. So she had to learn that, so she can plant the seed, and then, we can discuss it a little bit, but then, all right, a day later, then we can discuss it a little bit more. Because oftentimes, at least I think it's often, I'll come back and be like, yeah, you know what? I was thinking about it a little bit more, totally see what you were thinking of. Here's how we should, move forward and do things. So, yeah, I think you have to be open to talking about everything, and being healthy conversation with talking about where your partner's failing, and being open to them telling you where you're at fault or failing at things. And that's not easy. I think they're also, having that separation of that, individual time. My wife goes and she goes to the gym and she has her time to work out. I go to the gym, my own time. Sometimes we work out together, but we have at least that time that we can do something for ourselves, but yet, not have to, the other person right there with them as well.
So you focus on having parts of your lives are totally separate.
Mm-hmm.
That way she can grow individually and you can grow individually in that way.
But however, 90% of our time is together, especially now we have a 9-month-old.
Yeah, you don't have a choice anymore.
It's not that we don't have a choice. We do have a choice. I could be that absentee father that could be,
yeah.
and she could be here, you take care of, I'm going to go out and do this, but we want to be involved, which we're blessed to be able to in our lives right now with the way that we're in our careers, that we can work from home and, or take her. We don't have to put her in childcare, although we're look into it, to get some more focused work time. Yeah. But yeah, it's, a great lifestyle to be able to make those choices, but it's checking in. The other word of advice I would say is make sure you're checking in with each other too, emotionally, all right, how are you feeling?
I'm bad at that. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Checking in emotionally, if you feel bad, just tell me, or go work out or something. That's how, because for me, that's how my outlet,
right.
Whether I'm doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or karate or just like weightlifting or running sprints or something, like emotionally, if I'm having a bad day, like literally that helps me so freaking much. Or the other thing I love doing, and because I don't like you, I'm mainly like a manager at this point. I'm not teaching classes every day. I teach class like maybe once a week, uh, and that's because I enjoy it. But like if I'm like really having a bad day, I'll go and teach like the three-year-old class, like 3, 5, and 6-year-olds, and it hasn't happened in a while, but like whenever I do, I feel so freaking good. Like it's impossible to have a bad day when there's like Lily with like the pigtails in front of you, who's like 4 years old and just like smiling and loves everything about you and thinks what you're doing is the most fun thing in the entire world.
Yep.
It's just so refreshing.
Oh, teaching the martial arts has gotten me through so many of my challenging times. Going through the divorce, I was able to detach and go and teach. And we talk about with the students and our adults. You leave your suitcase of baggage at the door.
Yeah,
it will be there when you leave at the end of the night or the end of the class or whatever. It's going to be better. It's lighter. It's not as stressful as you thought. But for that time, take the time for yourself.
yeah.
And that's important thing to do for sure.
I think I got this from Dave Kovar. He talks, I think it's him. If not, he gets credit now, so that's good. If you don't know Dave Kovar, you should get credit for everything.
Yeah.
He's just amazing. So he talks about you should have, when you walk into the martial arts school, whether it's karate or jiu-jitsu or taekwondo or anything, it's kind of like you have a cup of water on your head. And that's like all the baggage you have for that day, right? Like the stress of like a project at work or a fight you got in with a family member or financial stress, whatever it is. And when you bow and you lean forward, that's the water falling out of the cup, right? And then you walk in there with an empty cup. You walk in there with an empty mind. You walk in there without your ego in your cup, and you could just learn, right? And that's like the beauty of it. Especially in martial arts. Like one of the things, I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and I was telling him, like, listen, one thing I love teaching about martial arts, or at least being involved in the industry, that's so different than everyone else, is that if you do business, you are solving a problem. That's the only way to do business, right? Like if you sell cars, you're solving an issue of people getting from point A to point B. If you sell wash and dryer, people need clean clothes. If you sell, anything, insurance, you give people peace of mind, right? You're solving an issue that people have. But most businesses, you don't get to see directly the benefit of the work that you're doing. So let's say you sell a car to a family. They come in there. It's a family of 4. They have they have a newborn and they have a 5-year-old, and you want to get them a car that's gonna be safe. That's what they care about. It's safe and spacious for them, right? And you get them a car and you help them pick the exact fit for them. You're really helping that person, right? Like they need a safe vehicle, and you find the one that works best for them and their family. But once they drive off that lot, you don't really get to see them anymore, right? It's kind of like, yeah, you help them, but they're gone. You don't really get to see the direct benefit. But if you work in martial arts, and probably the same for general fitness too, you get to see the direct benefit of your actions, where someone comes in because their child has trouble focusing and doesn't get their homework done on time, and then their grades slip. But now you're able to teach that kid how to focus better in martial arts class, so they can apply it when they're doing their homework. And now they get better grades. And now they're coming in and they're thanking you, and they're writing you notes and giving you gifts, and you directly see it, right? It's not like something that just happens in the distance, right? Like you're directly part of that. And I think that's just like so magical about what we do.
Huge.
Yeah, and it makes you like feel freaking good. Like, I always think it's like funny, I would say like kind of funny that like, people pay us to teach them martial arts, right? Like they, and for us, like we don't charge cheap tuition. We have like a premium tuition, right? We give a premium service. We have premium tuition. Obviously, we're definitely the highest in the area. I don't know anyone who charges more than us. I also think we have an amazing product. Obviously, it matches that, which is why people stick around for such a long time. But not only do they do that, but they also give us gifts and like thank us for it, right? Like, I don't thank like my, financial advisor, maybe I will if I'm on the phone with them, right? But I'm not sending them gifts, right? Like so many people, when I go to the gym, I don't give the front desk person a gift. Maybe I should. I don't know, I'm saying this out loud. Maybe I should. But like most of the time, you're not like writing them letters and like, but that's exactly what we get in our everyday life. And whenever someone does something else that they hate as a career, I always feel like just like terrible. I'm like, man, like we have so much satisfaction in what we do.
And it happens years down the road too. So I can't tell you, especially because I've been, in the industry now almost 20 years I'm going on. I'll run into a parent that used to, and I won't even, it happened the other day at the grocery store. I had to go shopping. I was in town of one of my schools. I don't live there anymore, but I was like, I need to get something. I'm walking around down the aisle and I see this woman come. I was like, I know she had her kids at the karate school. So I was like, I know you from karate, but she's like, hey, Mr. Bittner. I was like, yeah. And she told me her kid's name. They weren't at the school for probably 8, maybe even 10 years. They've been at the school. And she's like, oh, the kids, I can't. They owe so much because of karate, even though they haven't been training for so long. But she's in chorus and she has the confidence now. She's gonna like the star of the play. She's this and that. It happens all the time. Or I'll see a kid that's especially if somebody a past student that joined the military, or whatever. I always message how proud I am and thank you for your service and all that. And the years of their martial arts. They always remember the lessons, and that's an amazing thing that we get to do. And I think that's why so many people, you kind of touched upon this with some other podcasts, are looking at the martial arts as a profession so much differently. My wife and I, we currently have goals as far as expanding, and we're talking to people who are teachers, who are other professionals they're so unhappy with their professions, and they look at us and they're like, you get that feedback. You're making a difference, and they want that. They want to be able to make that change in people's lives, and we're so blessed to be able to do that. And
yeah, especially for teachers, they want the same exact things that we want. Like they want kids to be able to develop, but like a lot of times they just don't have the opportunity because. Yeah, for teachers, they're underappreciated. That's like the main thing I would say. There's lots of bureaucracy, so they can't change things if they want to. They say that you only work till like 2, 3 o'clock. Talk to any teacher, man. They're doing stuff all day.
And then the other thing, again, being a husband of a teacher, well, they get the summers off. Like, okay, so you complain or you say that because this teacher is working 18 hours a day for 9 months out of the year, and now they get the summer off.
And a lot of them do other jobs in the summer. They're camp counselors or they
because the schools need it. It's not always because they want to. They're doing it because out of the hearts they feel bad that the schools left with somebody not being able to do it, so they end up stepping up to the plate. Oh yeah, teachers. If you're a teacher and you're interested in making a change, reach out because we have a solution for sure. But
all the things you want, and you don't even need to do martial arts. That makes literally no difference. Like you just have to have the right attitude. Martial arts is all trainable.
Yeah, we can teach somebody how to be great martial artists. We've proven that from 25 plus years. It's the key is finding those people who have that passion for making a difference, right? Because that's the real drive. That's the reason why your schools are successful. My schools, all the other not just action karate, so many martial arts schools that have that right mind frame, super successful, right? And you just got to be.
They're just not necessarily in the right vehicle. It's like that's really what it is. It's like, okay, you want to teach, you want to make an impact on people, but you're in a vehicle with tons of bureaucracy, underappreciated, underpaid, yada yada. But it's like, okay, we have another vehicle that you get all those same benefits without a lot of the same drag, right?
Yep.
So yeah, if you're a teacher and you love kids, especially, hit us up. We teach adults too. We always mention kids, probably like 80% of what we do.
Yeah.
But adults too. So what I want to know now is like, okay, you had your one location, did great. Okay, now you're gonna open up 2 and 3. What are some of the differences in terms of like management or day-to-day life going from 1 to 3?
Huge. I was actually thinking about this before I came on, and one of the things that stuck out to me is something that I saw about jiu-jitsu training. The belt levels of jiu-jitsu. A white belt, you start off, you don't know what you don't know, right? Then you go to your blue belt, and you know what you don't know. And then,
which is basically everything.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know anything.
Then you progress to the point where you know what you need to do.
Yeah.
Right. That's like purple belt. Then brown belt, you do what you know, right? And then black belt is unconscious, ability to do stuff. So I look at when I was with the first school, I felt like I was doing really well. I definitely started off not knowing what I didn't know, and I figured that out. But eventually, I felt like I was doing really well, and I had an instructor that wanted to take the next step in their goals in their career and open up the martial arts school. So I was like, all right, if I could do it with one, do it for the other, and help somebody else out. We were able to do that, but I thought that it would be just, oh, I'll just be right where I'm at. I'll stay at that part where I'm like doing what I know, and sometimes that unconscious ability. But no, it's like a whole different level as far as going back. And there was things that I thought I didn't know what I didn't know, and then I started learning like how to, work with other people, and then same thing when opening up the third school to help another one of my instructors reach her goal. And we actually opened that up 2 weeks before mandatory closed down for COVID. We had our first enrollment, 2 weeks, mandatory shutdown for COVID.
Damn, the second one opened up right before COVID.
Yeah. And it was terrible because, we weren't able to take advantage of many of the government assistance because we weren't able to show a loss. We had zero sales the year before. And even if we sold $5 worth of tuition, that's still a plus.
Yeah.
So we definitely struggled, but it's the same boat. Like I'm learning things that I every time I'm taking a step up in my level of business and leadership, I'm learning more and more things that I thought I don't know, or I know that I don't know, and then it's like learning and starting over. I love every minute of it because as a martial artist mentality, it's that's always constant and never improving. How can I be better now? How can I work with our partners and our staff to help them? And I need to be better myself in order to do that.
And for anyone's listening, so that's like the filter that we run through. So CANI, constant and never ending improvement. And it's like, okay, I don't know everything. I know I don't know everything. How could I keep on improving? And especially when you go from one location to multiple, it's a different job. Like I think anyone could run one, not anyone. I think most people can run one location pretty well, right? You can like strong arm it and like, very personality based. And, but if you want to have multiple, now you're like an area developer, right? You're a manager, and that's a totally different skill set because now you're managing people. You're not teaching really like many lessons. I mean, you might teach some lessons on the side because you enjoy it, right? But like you're not teaching lessons, trying to answer the calls, not doing emails. Now it's got to be systems driven, right? And find the right people to fit those systems so everything runs smoothly. And then also, like my least favorite part is like removing people when they're not either the right person, or maybe I have to change the system. But a lot of times, like, I feel like the system's pretty good for us.
Right.
It's the person that's in the wrong slot, right? We try to fit a square peg in a round hole, and that's probably my least favorite part of the job is when I have to like fire someone or change something, and like I get all emotional and I try to be like even keeled about it. I can't.
Tough. Yeah. You
I'm
try
like,
to
in the human business, this is hard.
retraining and all. You're going through all those other things.
Yeah, you're thinking I have to do it. I have to train them from scratch again, someone new. It's like, I'll just keep them in there.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, for me, it's always like a challenge, and I think that imposter syndrome, kind of like what we talked about before, like people on the outside will look and be like, "Oh man, you got 3 schools, like, or you're partners with 3 schools. You must be like listen, I'm happy with where I'm at. I'm striving for more. In no way, shape, form do I feel like I'm an amazing, business person, or, I'm amazing at my job. I think I'm good and I'm getting better, which is the key. But, it's every time I take a step up with my leadership level or what my roles and responsibilities are, it's learning new things. A year ago, I finally realized that I had to remove myself from the day-to-day operations of schools in order for my staff to grow. I had other employees that, they were kind of just stuck because I was holding them back from taking the next levels because I was doing the jobs that they could do. And then by doing that, I was also holding back on helping the other schools grow and be better because they weren't getting my full attention or the attention that they needed. So a year ago. Like I removed myself from that, brought in 2 people full time. They love that, but it's now I'm, trying to help them through, everybody learns differently and managing skills and all that. It can be tough, but
So
luckily we
tell me
have,
a little bit. Sorry to
yeah,
interrupt,
yeah,
but
no,
like
you go
I
for it.
really want to know. So tell me, everyone who's listening to this, who if you have a martial arts school, you probably know like what the day to day looks like in general. But having three is gonna be different, right? So let's say it's Whiskey Wednesday,
Yeah.
or it's maybe not Whiskey Wednesday, maybe it's a regular Wednesday. You wake up, and what are you doing?
Yeah. So, in an ideal world, I wouldn't wake up until like, you know, half an hour before our first meeting. But, my 9-month-old wakes us up around 6 o'clock. So get her up, do things with her that she needs to. And then I'm usually like, I'll go out on the couch, and first thing I do is I check out all the bank stuff, because I've unfortunately been burned with some Facebook scams that next thing you know, $13,000 is out of our bank account.
Jeez.
So I check through to make sure everything's good and make sure I have
So you
kind of.
check, you keep your finger on the
Yep,
pulse of the
I was just about
finances.
to say that. Keep my finger on the pulse and make sure that nothing crazy is going on. Just have an idea of what's going on. Checking with QuickBooks and all that other stuff. Some more stuff around the house, and then we hop on our meetings. So I'll do meetings.
We do that at 9 a.m.
Yep, 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday. Sometimes it's following up with the team afterwards. After that, it's usually my wife and I were just kind of talking about, all right, what do we need to work on today? How can we help our team? Then I try to, either go to the gym or do something. But in the process, what podcasts am I going to catch up on? What am I going to?
This one,
Yeah, yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
only this
This
one. Don't
one,
listen to any others.
yeah, and T-Boy.
Worthless.
Yeah.
I don't know what's T
The
Boy.
best. So it used to be the Robin Hood snacks, but they're
Yeah.
now the best one yet. TBOY, hilarious. It's just a daily like stock type
Oh, okay.
thing, but they're funny. Um, you can sponsor me, or I can be a sponsor for you too.
For T Boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. So then, and then it's just a matter of following up with the teams, checking in, and sometimes I'll go do some school visits, and
So I think the lifestyle of a martial artist who runs a school, if they're the owner operator, versus someone who then manages a school, is kind of flips your schedule. It's like one of them, you're like, you definitely work the first half of the day, but like not as much, mainly the second half of the day, right? We have like what I like to call prep time and prime time. Prep
Mhm.
time is like anytime there's not classes going on, so I don't know, like anytime before like 3 p.m.
right.
And there's prime time, which is like when classes are happening and like you need to be customer, you're in front of the customer.
That's the
right?
show, right?
That's a show, yeah. Showtime, yeah,
Yeah.
prep time and showtime. So the on the other side of it, when you're a manager, it's kind of like flip flops in a way. It's like, okay, I have the first half of the day, I got to make sure like my team is set up and they're doing whatever marketing or ordering equipment or just like making sure they need to do everything they need to do. And then later when there's showtime, like they're the one running the showtime. So it's kind of your schedule kind of flips. Do you agree with that? Like, do you feel the same way?
Yeah, and before going into multiple schools, I always thought it was just going to be like, well, I just tell them what to do, and they'll do
And
it.
they all
Like,
just do it.
and it'll
Yeah.
be
Beautiful
they
world.
all have the heart and the passion that I have. Obviously, when you have skin in the game, we've heard that a bunch of times. When you have skin in the game, it takes on a different meaning. However, one of the things that I had to learn to improve myself as a leader is I need to stop like just assuming things, and I need to figure out like, all right, my job right now, my sole job is just what can I do to help my team? That's it. Like, okay, you weren't able to get this done. Well, what can I do to help you make sure that it gets done? Right? Can I help you get through a mental roadblock that you're having with maybe it's reaching out on Facebook. I don't feel comfortable doing this. Okay, well, how can I help you do that? Maybe it's I'm not able to get out in the community, or I'm not getting into schools. All right, great. Let's brainstorm. Why is it that you're not able to get into schools? What are some other things that we could do to possibly get into it? So once I was able to make that, and it's still in the process, I have to constantly remind myself of making that transition of my sole job as the owner, operator, or owner of the school is just how can I help my team? Once I was able to make that, it it was it was a big change in things, but that's during the day, because in the evenings they're all teaching,
Yeah.
right? So they're not going to be reaching out with
Yeah. You maybe watch through the
messages.
cameras or stop in the
Hmm.
class and stuff like that, but you're not
Yeah,
necessarily
yeah,
on site that whole time,
yeah.
right? Or not every day. So, and I think the thing that's always frustrating for me, anytime I'm a manager, like you think you're gonna tell people what to do and they're just gonna do it, you're delusional. That
Yeah,
just does not happen. People just don't do things for a million reasons, and they'll tell you why things don't work, and they're like, okay, well, you're just not doing the work to make it work, right? But the thing that always perplexes me, that I get kind of, I would say, annoyed about, is when something happens that goes wrong, or that someone needs support and they don't reach out and ask me,
hmm,
right? I feel like I've gone over this a million times where it's like, hey, if you need help or you're just not sure what to do, or like you just want clarification, I'm not going to think any worse of you. I'm not going to be upset or angry or think like you're not a good employee. I want you to call me. I want you to text me. And whether it's one of my employees or whether it's a W Dojo client, I feel the same way. It's like something happens, it didn't work. Don't wait till I find out. It comes up in casual conversation a week later, 2 weeks later. Call me, text me. Like, and I tell them, like, whenever they do that, thank you so much for reaching out. And like, I support that, right? I'm like,
hmm,
thank you so much for reaching out. Or like when I had the call with the about the ex-boyfriend and the mom, and we went over it and we talked and we role played it. I was like, thank you so much for calling and doing this with me. You're never annoying me. I actually love doing this. One of my favorite parts of my job. Keep on doing it, please. And I thank them for it. But even so, people will still be hesitant because they
yeah,
don't want to be seen in a bad light. So one of the tougher things as a manager, you don't necessarily anticipate until you're actually doing it.
yeah. And there's so many different. Everybody has to be managed, quote unquote, differently. Some people thrive on like to-do lists and checklists and all that, and other people, they just like, it drives them crazy. They need to be doing something different. So finding out where everybody's their strengths are and how they can improve, and it's awareness of your team, and it takes a lot of time. Like when I always thought it was like, if listening to podcasts, that can't be work. Like that's something I should do on my own free time. Like, but the reality is like, no, that's my job. My job is to be a better leader, law of the lid, so that way I can help my team. But the only way to do that is to improve my leadership skills. And that's sometimes that can be hard because it's not active.
Anyway, thank you so much for being on
Yeah,
here
my pleasure.
and
I had
asking me.
blessed.
If people want to reach out to you, they can find you, Seth Bittner on Facebook and your Instagram. What's your Instagram handle?
I think it's S Bittner 1979.
That's Bittner 1970.
Yeah,
I got it.
I'm old school.
Let's just go
I don't come
straight
up with
for.
anything.
Yeah, I got it. So if people want to hack one of your passwords, they know the birth year. So that's
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
my name is Matthew Brenner with W Dojo. Thank you guys for listening, and bye, guys.